What if I told you that law isn't just something written on paper? Let's dive into two fascinating worlds. First, there's the living law. It's not about codes or bureaucratic documents. Think of it as an inner law that flows from being human. It's immutable, universal, and morally grounded. This is the voice of your conscience, the compass of your soul. You know it when something feels unjust. Now let's talk about positive law. This is the law crafted by humans, enforced by states. It includes written laws, treaties, and rules that vary across time and place. Positive law can be just, but it doesn't have to be. Its validity doesn't rely on morality. Historically, the living law was championed by philosophers like Plato and Aristotle. In the Middle Ages, natural law tied closely with divine insight, as thinkers like Aquinas pointed out. Fast forward to the Enlightenment, where natural law became the backbone of fundamental rights. On the flip side, positive law emerged as a response to the uncertainties of natural laws. Legal positivism argues that law only exists if humans enact it. Unfortunately, positive laws have often been wielded to legitimize injustice, like in Nazi Germany. Remember the Radbruch formula. When the gap between law and justice grows too wide, justice prevails. So, what really sets them apart? The living law comes from nature and conscience. It's valid everywhere, and it's built on moral principles. Positive law, however, is human-made and temporary. But why are both relevant in our lives? The living law guides our moral compass. It stands as a base for resistance against injustice and ethical actions. Positive law, while sometimes flawed, provides the order and predictability we need. But what happens when these two laws clash? A moral crisis may emerge. Think of slavery, apartheid, and genocide, all once legally accepted but deeply unjust. You have the power to know the living law through your conscience. You don't have to follow laws that feel unjust. You can appeal to higher principles. Modern society often conditions us into thinking, if it's legal, it must be right. This misconception can be dangerous. Laws aren't always just. Rediscovering the living law means reclaiming our dignity and benchmark for true freedom. In constitutional states, the living law often gets overlooked. It can't be enforced through violence, so it's often sidelined. Common law was once a bridge between natural justice and human regulation. But in modern legal systems, it's increasingly replaced by statutory law. In constitutional states, legal control often takes precedence over moral considerations. Citizens are treated as legal entities rather than living beings. The Bible warns us about the world of the dead, systems without spirit. These systems reduce humanity to numbers, stripping away our essence. The living law is not enforceable by violence, it's about our inner moral guide. But positive law holds power through authority, often separated from justice. Before colonial and global legal systems, laws grew organically within communities. Laws shaped by customs kept community essence intact. But with nation-states, law became codified and dependent on authority to ensure compliance. This shift diluted the link to our conscience, often prioritizing political interests. The concept of the legal person introduced by Roman law continues to affect us today. In courts, we address the legal person, not the living human with conscience. Contracts, taxes, and fines target the entity, not the inner being. This leads to dehumanization, where people are treated as objects of control. Philosophers have highlighted this transition from biopolitics to legal totalitarianism. The living law calls us to remember who we really are, beings of consciousness. It's a reminder to restore our inner authority, prioritizing conscience over law. This isn't about anarchy but creating awareness of our divine truth and justice. Join the movement for awareness, not as mere followers, but as living beings of truth. Let your life reflect the living law. Your voice and actions hold power. Stand for what is just,